Morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, world. This is the Rasta International Ambassador, Jahbunny, better known as the Badass. And life journey, life take different turns. I start out this channel by telling my story as a Rasta baby coming up through different traditions. Today I'm gonna do a totally different program. I am the runaway slave, and I told you how I escaped from the plantation of Jamaica. In my journey, I had also stopped in the Bahamas. Then I reached to the UK. From the UK, I reached the US. And in my journey in the US, it was great tribulation. Now, for those of you who are under the age of 50, I want to bring you up to speed. So, 50 or 55 years ago, the black world was, the world, not the black world, the world was divided in two. Now it is divided in like so many different worlds. But I remember when the black world was divided into two, and that was us and them. Work that out. In those days, the days of us meaning the black people of the world. At one stage, all of us was under the same oppression, hence us and them. In those days, I grew up in the USA. And in the black days, we were very codified, meaning that we knew where we stand back then. Today, we do not. We're all over the place. I'm not gonna personalize it down, but the program that I'm gonna run today is gonna be a special program to address the issue of us and them. And we're gonna do this now independently. So this program is an independent case study. Yeah. For those of you who think that, hi, Jahbunny, badass, just get up. First of all, I don't smoke and I don't drink. So for those of you who think it's a bad spliff my lick and come up with these ideas, not listening, because I told you when I was in America, I studied history from 5 different angles. I study black history, American history, Caribbean history, Jamaica history, and independent history. Do you all know what that consists of? I study everything black. So because I'm so black, I'm gonna use one of my master teacher, goes by the name of Jason Black, to help me. And teacher, I'm gonna ask with all due respect, I'm gonna use one of your program now to educate my people. Yeah, because it's us and them. So, without any further delay, I'm going to bring in Professor Dr. Jason Black, who known as the Black Authority. Yeah, a lot of people have problem with Jason, but so when Jason speak, a lot of people take Jason's reasoning personally. I know Jason, nothing Jason said no offend I, because I was there. Jason is a younger man to I. So I'm going to show now, say, we do listen to young people, whether man or woman, when you have something to say. But specifically now, this specifically goes to the people who have problem when I call them certain name, like the system dogs. I'm going to make Jason now. Jason now going to use that word there, because Jason is not a man where Jason now is my teacher. So him more technical than I. Me I just raw and cut and filter. So me call it what it is when me feel like calling it. So before, without any more delay, Jason, come chat to them people of the eye. Yes, Jason, where are you? I want you come let me put some people back in them place, because them lose them place and lose them position. So, I find Jason.
Tonight on the Black Channel, God Save the Queen. More people may be saying that than you might think. Is it merely symbolic, or is it literal? The Black greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting superfortress of intelligent Black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel, and I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically Black college university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. Join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program here, I was actually going to talk about something a little bit different here tonight. I was going to talk about the BET Awards and that show and things. And we're going to do a deep dive on that here. But before we do, I really did feel like I was taking a look at it, and I decided to call an audible. And the audible I decided to call was about the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. As you all heard, she passed away here a couple days ago. And, you know, like a lot of us, you grew up your entire life. If you talked about the British monarchy, Queen Elizabeth has been a fixture. I mean, she's literally been in the position for 70 years, so longer than most of us have been alive. So you can't discount the fact that certainly she was visible. But when I take a look at things here, I got to think about this, because I've, like a lot of people, I came at it from the position of, well, you know, a lot of this stuff is symbolic, and these are symbolic things, and the monarchy and whatnot. It's symbolic. These are symbolic things. And then I took a look at the way that people were responding. I took a look at the way that certain people were responding. What I started to realize was that my perspective on these things and the way I see it may not be the way other folk are seeing it. And that there may be very clear, concrete reasons for that. Is it really symbolic? And when you start thinking about it, the answer is not really. The answer is not really. Why do I say that? There are a couple of websites in particular that you can go to and check it out. A couple in particular. But one here, first one I'm going to go to here is the Commonwealth.org. And what is the Commonwealth? And they used to call it the British Commonwealth. They dropped the British from it. These things evolve over time. They dropped the British from it and now refer to themselves as the Commonwealth. And then if you go to the Commonwealth.org, what do you see? Member countries. And what do you see is the Commonwealth. Independent countries. There are 56 independent countries that make up the Commonwealth in Africa, Asia, the Americas, Europe, and the Pacific. 32 of the world's 42 small states are Commonwealth members, each with a population of 1.5 million or less. 2.5 billion citizens live in Commonwealth countries, with more than 60% age 29 or under. Now, why in the world are they keeping track of that? Because they're looking at the future. Something that most of us wouldn't even think is something that exists anymore, the British Commonwealth. They call it the Commonwealth, and they're letting you know, oh, the Commonwealth is alive and well. The Commonwealth is alive and well. Commonwealth countries are diverse. They are among the world's biggest, smallest, richest, and poorest countries. Together they work to pursue common goals and values. Small states are especially vulnerable to issues such as climate change and developmental challenges. All Commonwealth members have an equal say regardless of wealth or size, if you believe that garbage. Leaders of member countries shape Commonwealth policies and priorities. Every 2 years they meet at the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. Well, who are the Commonwealths? They show a list of the Commonwealth nations in Africa: Botswana, Cameroon, Gabon, Gambia, Ghana, Kenya, the Kingdom of Eswatini, Lesotho, Malawi, Mauritius, Mozambique, Namibia, Nigeria, Rwanda. Some folks there might want to know why they didn't step in during a couple of genocides. Never mind. Seychelles, Sierra Leone, South Africa, Togo, Uganda, United Republic of Tanzania, Zambia. Well, interesting. Commonwealth nations. Those are your Commonwealth nations in Africa. Your Commonwealth nations in Africa. Then certain behaviors you start seeing start to make a little bit more sense to you in that regard, don't they? Certain nations you start seeing start making a little bit more sense when you see that kind of thing there, because then it starts to register to you why you start seeing that kind of thing. By the way, there are only 54 countries in Africa. It's 54 of them in Africa. 54 countries in Africa. 21 are members of the Commonwealth. In Asia, hang on to your butts. Bangladesh, if I may wax native. Bangladesh, Brunei, India. Now, there's over 1 billion people right there. India, Malaysia, the Maldives, Pakistan, Singapore, Sri Lanka. I know I'm getting my Barack Obama on. My folks over there in Asia will hopefully appreciate that. He's pronouncing it correctly. Yes, I'm pronouncing it correctly. But by the way, did you all know that India, Mahatma Gandhi land, did you all know that India is still, by its own voluntary choice, still a member of the British Commonwealth? Did you all know that? That, I'm talking about, I think their last meeting was like 2018 when they decided who's going to be the successor head, which is why Charles is the head of the Commonwealth now, by the way, because they say it's not hereditary. However, it damn sure looks hereditary. How many of you knew that India chose to join the Commonwealth? How many of you are aware of that? That India actually chose to join the Commonwealth and Pakistan right behind them. Everybody talks about Singapore and how developed it is today. This kind of explains a lot, doesn't it? And then Bangladesh. Oh, but we ain't through yet. Caribbean and Americas. Antigua and Barbuda. The Bahamas. Barbados. Belize. Canada. Dominica. Grenada. Guyana, Jamaica, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago. Got the Caribbean locked down. No wonder they kind of got the Caribbean locked down. This is Commonwealth.org. I'll go ahead and throw the link to it in the chat room there for you all, so you can go ahead and see it for yourselves there if you want to go check that out. In Europe, Cyprus, Malta, and the United Kingdom. In the Pacific, Australia, Fiji, Kiribati, Nauru, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Samoa, the Solomon Islands, Tonga, Tuvalu, and Vanuatu. Think about that for a few moments. And then it makes you see why certain things have happened the way that they have. How many of you were even aware of this? How many of you were even aware of this? The British Commonwealth is alive and well, and these are members of it. These are members of it. The Commonwealth is alive and well. You were always told that this woman was symbolic. It's symbolic. I mean, the Commonwealth doesn't even really exist anymore, right? It's symbolic. That's what they tell you. It's symbolic. But if it's symbolism, I got some more questions about this symbolism. Because you see, if you go to another website, which is royal.uk, let me go ahead and put this one in the chat room for you all. Royal.uk. You go and check this one out in a term that most of you had never heard of before tonight, which is Commonwealth realm. And if you look on your screens, I took a screenshot of it there to show you there's something that these other folks know about that most of you are not aware of. What is a Commonwealth realm nation? Well, the Commonwealth realm is a country which has the Queen as its monarch. There are 14 Commonwealth realms in addition to the UK. Jason, you bull jiving. I bull jive you not. Now, if you go to monarchist.org, they listed a little bit differently. They said there's 16 of them, which includes the UK. They list Antigua and Barbuda, Australia, the Bahamas, Barbados, Belize, Canada, Grenada, Jamaica, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Solomon Islands, Tuvalu, and the United Kingdom. Now that's what they list as the Commonwealth realm nations, where the Queen is still the monarch. Let's go ahead and start with Australia. Now, when you go to that link and you click on where it says Australia, here's what it says. And I'm going to walk you through this because I want you to understand what the hell it says. Not what you might think it says, not what you might wish it says, not what you might hope it says. I want to walk you through exactly what it says so that we don't have any misgivings about exactly what this means. It says the Queen has developed a very personal relationship with Australia through regular visits. She has traveled throughout the different states to meet people from all cultures, walks of life, and regions of this enormous and fascinating country. Australia is a constitutional monarchy with the Queen as sovereign. Now remember that sentence, because this website really puts it all together a certain way. Remember that sentence there. Remember that sentence that I just used. Remember it. Remember it. That Australia is a constitutional monarchy with the Queen as sovereign. And it goes on to say, as a constitutional monarch, the Queen, by convention, is not involved in the day-to-day business of the Australian government, but she continues to play important ceremonial and symbolic roles. The Queen's relationship to Australia is unique. In all her duties, she speaks and acts as Queen of Australia and not as Queen of the United Kingdom. The Queen's royal style and title in Australia is Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen of Australia, and her other realms and territories, head of the Commonwealth, not as Queen of the United Kingdom. As a
Yes, Brother Jason, I think it's only right that I make a disclaimer that the sole purpose of using this, your program, is to rerun it and to edify us, because there is 3,000 of us following us, and there's no way I can instruct them to go listen to your program. I've been doing this for the longest, so I come up with this idea that this is the best way now for those who want to learn about the real history and how certain things still impact on us today. Because Barbados just claim that them get them independent, but from what I learned from you, that there is a second Caribbean Commonwealth clause that neither Jamaica or Barbados or Australia or Canada can release themselves from. And that is the one of the main reasons why I'm running this program, so people can really understand, say, even if Jamaica get independent tomorrow, they will still be under King Charles' rule for the rest of them life. Now that I have made my disclaimer, teacher Jason, I hope, and I'm in contact with you, so I hope that you will approve this use of the program. Come in again, brethren.
Constitutional monarch, the Queen acts entirely on the advice of Australian government ministers who are responsible to Parliament. The Queen is represented in Australia at the federal level by a Governor General. He or she is appointed by the Queen on the advice of the Prime Minister of Australia and is completely independent of the British government. At the state level, the Queen is represented by the governors of each state who are appointed on the advice of each state premier. Even while based in the United Kingdom, the Queen is sensitive to her role as Queen of Australia, acknowledging issues which affect Australia through messages or congratulating Australian achievement. In February 2006, for example, the Queen hosted a reception at Buckingham Palace for prominent Australians living in the UK. When visiting Australia, the Queen is able to undertake some of the ceremonial roles of the sovereign. In 1954, for example, the Queen opened Parliament with Canberra for the first time, wearing the gown she had worn for her coronation the previous year. The Queen supports public service through her patronage of a large number of Australian organizations. They include the Royal Humane Society and a bunch of other folks there. She holds a number of titles in the Australian Armed Forces and has attended many events to honor their service in world conflicts. In 2003, for example, the Queen acknowledged the huge debt owed to Australian servicemen and women in 2 world wars by opening the Australian War Memorial at Hyde Park Corner in London. That's in Australia. Sounds rather benign, doesn't it? That's in Australia. How about the Bahamas? Large black population there. Matter of fact, the picture that they have shows her greeting a bunch of her dark-skinned royal subjects, although they have one little blonde baby right there in the middle, but she's greeting her dark-skinned subjects at the time. Well, what does it say there? Now, you'll notice here the wording is going to be a little different for the Bahamas. The wording will be a little different. The Queen's role. The Bahamas is a constitutional monarchy, meaning that the Queen has a unique relationship with the country. In all of her official duties relating to the many islands which make up the Bahamas, Her Majesty speaks and acts as Queen of the Bahamas rather than Queen of the UK. The royal family's links with the country have been strengthened by regular royal visits throughout Her Majesty's reign. As Queen of the Bahamas, Her Majesty plays an important ceremonial and symbolic role in the country, although she is not involved in the day-to-day business of the Bahamas government. On a day-to-day basis, the Queen is represented in the Bahamas by a Governor General with whom she stays in close contact via her private secretaries. I think they got a picture of her in there. The Queen's royal style and title in the Bahamas is, now this is her title in the Bahamas, Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas and of her other realms and territories, Queen, Head of the Commonwealth. That is her title in the Bahamas. Queen Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas and of her other realms and territories, Queen, Head of the Commonwealth. That is her title in the Bahamas. So in other words, when she goes there, that's how she's acknowledged. How she was acknowledged. Now her son Charles will be acknowledged as King of the Bahamas. King of the Bahamas. How about Jamaica? Her Majesty is the Queen. Now this is what it says. Her Majesty is the Queen of Jamaica, and as such, continues to play an important ceremonial and symbolic role in Jamaican life. So the first words it says is, Her Majesty is the Queen of Jamaica. This is at royal.uk. This is not me talking. This is royal.uk speaking, not me. It says, Jamaica is a constitutional monarchy with the Queen as sovereign. In all of her official duties relating to Jamaica, the Queen speaks and acts as Queen of Jamaica, quite distinct from her role in the UK. The Queen is represented on the island by a Governor General appointed on the advice of the Jamaican Prime Minister. The Governor General is assisted by a Privy Council consisting of 6 members appointed by the Governor General in consultation with the Prime Minister. The Governor General's role is largely ceremonial. As the Queen's representative, the Governor General gives formal assent to the laws passed in Jamaica by the House of Representatives and the Senate before those laws can take effect. Now, I want to back it up one more time so you can hear this one more time again. The Governor General's role is largely ceremonial. As the Queen's representative, the Governor General gives formal assent to the laws passed in Jamaica by the House of Representatives and the Senate before those laws can take effect. I'm going to finish reading this and I want to go back to that. He or she also names the date of a general election and appoints ministers. In most cases, the Governor General acts in accordance with the advice of the Prime Minister. The Queen's royal style and title in Jamaica is Elizabeth II by the grace of God of Jamaica and of her other realms and territories, Queen, head of the Commonwealth. Elizabeth II, by the grace of God of Jamaica and of her other realms and territories, Queen, head of the Commonwealth. I suppose now it'll be Charles, whichever number his is, by the grace of God of Jamaica and of his other realms and territories, King, head of the Commonwealth. So that's what it'll be changed to here shortly, if it hasn't already. But there's a reason why I went through all that. There was a reason why I walked you all through that, because I want you to understand what it says. I want you to understand what this means, because understand something. You are governed by the letter of the law, not your feelings about it. So just understand there's actually something in here rather ominous when you think about it for a moment here. First of all, they make it very clear, and this is at royal.uk. Her Majesty is the Queen of Jamaica, and as such continues to play an important ceremonial and symbolic role in Jamaican life. Now, folks, just because something is ceremonial and symbolic does not mean it is not concrete and serious. We have a lot of ceremonies in America where you can be arrested. For example, during the State of the Union and whatnot, if you're making a ruckus, the man-at-arms can arrest you. After 9/11, they talked about that. If you're out of line, yeah, it's a ceremonial thing when the president comes down, but by the way, the man-at-arms of the House of Representatives can arrest you. As a sitting representative or senator, he sure can. Just because something is ceremonial or symbolic doesn't mean that it's not concrete. So listen to what they're saying. Her Majesty is the Queen of Jamaica.
You got your Talbot. No.
Play an important ceremonial and symbolic role in Jamaican life. Jamaica is a constitutional monarchy with the Queen as sovereign. That one sentence right there carries a hell of a lot of weight. Jamaica is a constitutional monarchy with the Queen as sovereign. In all of her official duties relating to Jamaica, the Queen speaks and acts as Queen of Jamaica, quite distinct from her role in the UK. Now, about this Governor General, the Queen is represented on the island by a Governor General appointed on the advice of the Jamaican Prime Minister. So that means somebody's got to approve this, and between him and the Queen, okay, we'll sign off on that. The Governor General is assisted by a Privy Council consisting of 6 members appointed by the Governor General in consultation with the Prime Minister. That doesn't mean that the Queen doesn't have a say. Next is this one. You all heard me stop on this before. The Governor General's role is largely ceremonial. Now, did you hear? It didn't say completely ceremonial. It says his role is largely ceremonial. What about the part that ain't ceremonial? What about that part? It says the Governor General's role is largely ceremonial. As the Queen's representative, the Governor General gives formal assent to the laws passed in Jamaica by the House of Representatives and the Senate before those laws can take effect. So here's the real thing. If the Governor General, for whatever reason, objects to it, if he stands up and says, by the authority vested in me by Her Majesty Elizabeth II, by the grace of God of Jamaica and of her other realms and territories, Queen of Jamaica and head of the Commonwealth, I will not give my endorsement of this particular law. If you all try to pass reparations, for example, if you seek to pass a measure about reparations, well, I, as the Governor General, appointed on the advice of the Jamaican Prime Minister, but serving Her Majesty the Queen of Jamaica, Elizabeth II, and now her son, King Charles, His Majesty says, as the representative of His Majesty, King Charles, we cannot endorse a measure demanding reparations of the Commonwealth. Now, all of a damn sudden, you've got a constitutional crisis. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. All of a sudden, you have a damn constitutional crisis. Because she is still the sovereign. By all of your laws and edicts of the islands of Jamaica, this is your sovereign. And if the Queen of Jamaica, notice it, they make it very clear, oh, I'm not the Queen of England, I'm the Queen of Jamaica. And now her son, I'm not the King of England. When I'm standing on Jamaican soil, I am the King of Jamaica. Whatever your local customs and local edicts were, them out the window when King Charles' feet touched ground. What I'm telling you is that, yeah, all that constitutional monarchy stuff, it sounds great. One question, who's got the bigger guns? Now that's the part you need to keep in mind. Who's got the bigger damn guns? Cuba can talk about its sovereignty all it wants to. When the United States said we're going to make Guantanamo Bay, what happened to Cuba's sovereignty? Who's got the bigger guns? If Britain decides one day that something that Jamaica has, Britain wants, and it's not in a mood to discuss it, where's Jamaica's leverage? Where's its veto power? And understand what they will say is, well, yes, technically speaking, you are technically a constitutional monarchy, but remember, it's I'm white and I say so. So before now, the emphasis was on the word constitutional. You got something we need. The emphasis is on the word monarchy. And you've been saying it with us now for a century. She is the Queen of Jamaica. This is the Queen of Jamaica, and now the King of Jamaica. And don't worry, we're just stepping in for a little while. We're gonna step in for, in the chat room there, Black Pride, you said, I thought it was symbolic. Yeah, it's always symbolic until they wanna knock somebody's ass off. You would have figured that Africa would have figured this out by now. It's always symbolic. It's always symbolic until they wanna knock you off. Oh, don't worry. These churches we have here, these are just symbolic. These houses of worship, you know, every once in a while we go and we pray. No big deal. It's just symbolic. Just symbolic till the guns showed up. Then you found out how symbolic it wasn't. Then you found out how symbolic it wasn't. Y'all, if this is really immaterial, tell me why in the hell they insist on referring to these people as the sovereigns of these places. Tell me why. Why is it that they insist that when she shows up, you must refer to her as the Queen of Jamaica, Her Majesty? This thing here on their website, the royal.uk, it says the very first sentence on that page is Her Majesty is the Queen of Jamaica. Why are you insisting on that if this is just really perfunctory and is just symbolic and is superfluous? Why are you insisting on that? Oh, don't worry, it doesn't mean much of anything. No big deal right here. But when she shows up, we must insist that you refer to her as the Queen of Jamaica. No, don't worry. This isn't binding. This isn't binding. No, this is just ceremonial. When you refer to her as Queen of Jamaica, it's just ceremonial. Don't you want to be polite? Don't you want to be polite? It's just ceremonial. It's just tradition. Don't you want to be polite? After all, you should be at least as polite as some of our other members. You should at least be as polite as some of them. When we come booming into town and we need to get our hands on that. Hey, over there in Ghana, over there in Nigeria, British Petroleum setting up shop. Hey, we need to come get that. Yeah, that oil you got over there. Yeah, we don't need symbolic oil. We got to get our hands on the real damn thing. We got to get that. Yeah, you're a member of the Commonwealth, but it's not symbolic today. We got to get that. We got to get that. You got to drop that off. You got to drop that off. All of a sudden, it ain't symbolic anymore. You got to drop it off. Out India, if you think that these people pressuring you to keep saying that sentence, if you really do believe that that's just empty and it holds no weight and it's not really changing you, then explain to me how in the hell India is still referring to them as the sovereign. After Mahatma Gandhi, you would figure that would be... there's no way in the hell that could be. No, after all this time, it's like, okay, fine, we'll remove the troops and every damn thing else. We have colonized the people and the minds. We don't have to colonize the dirt anymore. We've already colonized the people and their minds. We don't have to colonize the dirt anymore. Don't you all understand? This is what I'm trying to tell you. This is like slavery in America. It was always diabolical because the goal, I've told you forever, the goal was never to have a chain around your ankle. The goal was to have a chain around your mind. Therefore, shackles around your ankles are no longer necessary. We can gather up people. Understand something. It's not practical to put shackles around the ankles of 1 billion people. Mic drop. It's not practical to put shackles around the ankles of 1 billion people. That ain't practical. I don't give a damn how much you want what they got. It's not practical to put 1 billion shackles around people's ankles. You gonna need something different. It's not practical to put chains around 1 billion people's ankles. You're gonna need to shackle something else. You're gonna have to shackle something else. Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, all these people, Jefferson Davis, all these people understood this. It's not practical to put chains on to anybody who's been to Monticello, and I've been there a few times now, that's a gigantic estate. It's not practical to put all the workers in chains. That's not practical. It'll never work. If we're required to put chains on every damn body, nothing's going to get done. You can do that with 12 dudes making a railroad. You can do that with 12 dudes picking up garbage and rubbish on the side of the road. You can't build a nation with millions of people with physical shackles around their ankles. It won't work. It's not practical. You're gonna have to shackle something else. The measurement and unit of control is gonna have to be something else. Now, why are you shackling them? Because we want them to bend to our will. Well, is there a way to do that without shackling their ankles? Because that ain't practical. Well, if we could get them to see themselves as loyal subjects of the empire. Drop that empire. Okay, first of all, we're gonna have to change this damn language. We gotta change up this damn language. You too damn blatant with it. Can't do it. This is too damn blatant. Well, they are the subjects of the British Empire. Yeah, okay, let's walk this through for a minute. Subjects. Yeah, that one ain't gonna fly. How about citizens? Members. Okay, they are members of the British Empire. Wait a minute, but they ain't in charge of the British Empire. Oh, okay, well, that one's not gonna work. Members, citizens of the British Commonwealth. Yes, it is a commonwealth, not an empire. Ooh, well, that one might roll. That might roll. We can do that one. That might roll. As a matter of fact, we can tell some of them that it is exotic. Why, you're not just Jamaican. Why, you are a member of the British Commonwealth. You're not just an ordinary Negro. And, yeah, but we're your slaves. There are no slaves here. Stop that nonsense. You're talking nonsense. There are no slaves here. None. Why, you are all our friends. You are citizens of the British Commonwealth. You're not subjects. You're not slaves. You are citizens. You are, as a matter of fact, you are members. You are members of the Commonwealth. Matter of fact, it's not even a British Commonwealth. It's just the Commonwealth. Stop telling us that this is a British Commonwealth. There is no British Commonwealth. We got rid of all that. There is no British Commonwealth. Who's in charge? Oh, the King and Queen of Britain. Yeah, that's who runs it. But the point is, let's not play semantics. Let's not worry about that. Now, the way in which I'm saying it to you all right now, it might seem humorous. And it is humorous until you realize that I'll be damned, people are acting on it. They're acting on it. This ain't no joke when you see this about the Caribbean. They're acting on it. They have adopted it. They have accepted it. That's why, if you want to know why it is that they make travel between Jamaica and Britain, or between Nigeria and Britain, if you want to know why they make travel between those two places so free-flowing, is because they got access to the resources and control of those beachheads in those areas. Guess what? They got control over there. Ain't no Nigerians running a damn thing in Britain. There are no Jamaicans running a damn thing in Britain. You get to be their low-cost, illegal immigrant labor. You ain't running nothing. But you're not running anything. The relationship they have with you is master and servant, but you ain't running nothing. You're not running anything. I submit to you all that language that they keep insisting you have to use that language. They keep insisting on that. That's not ceremonial. People, I don't know how the hell to tell you. That ain't no damn joke when somebody tells you you need to refer to me as king and queen. That's not a joke. I gotta refer to you as king and queen? Not of Britain, which is where you live. I gotta refer to you as the Queen of Jamaica? Oh, don't worry. Understand something, folks. This is what they teach in their books, in these schools, in these places. Did you all know that? They teach this in the books, in the schools. So you get taught about Jamaican history, and then you get taught about the place of Her Majesty, the Queen of Jamaica. And they teach the same thing in the Bahamas and Barbados. They're teaching you the same thing everywhere. Understand that when they crack open those books, there's a big-ass picture of Queen Elizabeth II, the sovereign, Her Majesty, the Queen of Jamaica. Oh, don't worry, it's symbolic. You've already told the children. Them children understand what the word monarch means, and they understand what the word queen means. Now, are they being taught that there are any black queens of Jamaica? Because I know they're being taught that there's a white one. But are they being taught that there is a black queen of Jamaica? Because so far all I see is them teaching about a white one. If you want to know how you colonize people's minds, then what you do is you tell them, oh, you're not slaves, you're workers. You're witnessing them do that in real time in America in the history books by trying to whitewash slavery by renaming it something else. Oh, you're not slaves, you're servants, you're workers. You're servants and you're workers. That's what they do. No wonder this ain't new. If you want to know how you colonize people's minds, I'm telling you just the very fact that they keep insisting on that. How the hell is it? Why do you keep insisting we have to call her the Queen of Jamaica, the Queen of Belize, the Queen of the Bahamas? Why are you insisting on that? Because I can't walk into a single damn place in Britain and insist that you refer to me as Jason Black, King and Sovereign of Westchester, or wherever the hell it is, Wales. I can't do that. Birmingham, I can't do that. There's no way in the world that they will allow that to occur. I can't sit there and tell you, oh, don't worry, it's ceremonial. They won't even say the words. Don't you understand, people? When you refer to her as the Queen of Jamaica, you are legally conceding a legal claim. You are the one submitting to it. It's not symbolic. You're the one submitting to her legal claim. You're the one acknowledging her legal claim now. You're the one doing it. And if you think it is harmless, all I got to say here is go over there and you tell me if you all think that India saying, well, you know what? Yeah, we fought against y'all and everything else, and we had to kill some folk and things like that, but now we will willingly join the Commonwealth. Then what the hell were all those conflicts about if this was all you were gonna do? If this was the way it was gonna end, then we could have got there a long damn time ago, couldn't we? I'm upsetting some people tonight, so if you all agree with what you're hearing here tonight, give me a thumbs up in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. We got over 5,000 people listening right now, but it seems like most of y'all don't like what you're hearing. So, hey, if most of you don't like it, let me go ahead and shut this down. I don't want to offend your sensibilities. I know some of y'all want to go home and, mourn. I get it. I'm not laughing at you. I get it. Some of y'all want to go and mourn. I get it. But by the way, if you like what you're hearing, and if I'm telling the truth, if you understand that this is how you can colonize people's minds, if you understand that this has a real, actual, concrete effect on you, hit that likes button for me. If you think that all those decades of referring to the monarchy as the King of India, Queen, Her Majesty, if you think it had no effect, and explain to me why all these other places that claim that they were fighting against the British have now acknowledged, and they are now declaring themselves members of the Commonwealth. They're declaring it for themselves now. We're members of the Commonwealth. Jamaica does not refer to Marcus Messiah Garvey as His Majesty. I want you to think about that for a few moments. Jamaica does not refer to Marcus Mosiah Garvey as His Majesty. Jamaica doesn't refer to him that way. But they do refer to now King Charles as His Majesty. But they don't refer to Marcus Garvey that way. I wanted to put this in stark relief for you all so that you can understand how diabolical this is. The idea was that you needed to convince all of your royal subjects around the world to accept their position in the monarchy, as opposed to you battering them and conquering them with it. Can you raise it to the level of what America has done with American culture? Can you elevate being a member of the Queen's Guard to an elevated state? Let me tell you something right now. I love the TV show Game of Thrones. I think it is probably the best examination of power dynamics that was ever committed to media. Let me tell you something. I told you all about this a decade ago when you talked about the movie 300. Great story by Frank Miller, even if the events are exaggerated. But if you thought that didn't have an effect on people, great story, great filmmaking, or at least telling a great story. Next thing you know, you had black athletes, men who could never possibly be anything real close to a Spartan, with Spartan tattoos. Something that still continues to this day, by the way. If you believe that culture can't affect people how they live in their daily lives, that they will identify with these people. The movie 300, you had black athletes declaring themselves the Spartans. Well, guess what? With British culture, whether it's Game of Thrones, 007, you name it. There's a whole bunch of folk here. If you can glam it up and gloss it up, next thing you know, you got individuals trying to identify with it. Now they're in Jamaica. Hell, if they're like, hey, life in Jamaica ain't hitting very well, it's not very glamorous, well, what do? You can glum on to the fact that, well, I mean, we are Jamaicans, but we are also members of the British Commonwealth. It's just the Commonwealth. Well, I'm putting the British back in it. We are members of the British Commonwealth. Why, we have long-standing historical ties to Britain. Why, take a look. There's a bunch of us who keep trying to immigrate from Jamaica to Britain. If you don't believe that this affects the way that people think and that this doesn't permeate their minds, yeah, we don't have to put them in shackles anymore. First, we impoverish them. Second, we turn them into super fans. Y'all see what's going on there? Go ahead and zoom in a little bit, make you a little bit more uncomfortable. Take a look at the Queen kicking it with her royal subjects. Oh, look at the cheeses. It's big teeth. She's looking at the little blind kid, but big teeth, boy, big teeth. Oh, man, big teeth. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot this picture over here. Hey, there's a little girl back here, little black girl back there. Well, what do you know? We got the Queen up front, y'all. I'm 720 degrees of analysis you'll receive nowhere else. Well, take a look behind her there. Now, I believe that's Charles, and that might be Andrew back there behind her. Now, that might be her former husband, Andrew. I think he died last year. That could be Charles. I'm not certain whether that's Charles or Andrew. Not certain. But I think a picture is worth 1,000 damn words. Get the Queen out the way over there so you can see that. By the way, let me go ahead and let you gaze on that for a moment. I couldn't help but notice I see a pattern forming. Couldn't help but notice. I see a pattern forming. Trick love the kids. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Charles. I'm pretty sure it's Charles. But Trick love the kids. Trick love the kids. In the chat room, I don't give a damn whether it was Philip, Andrew, or the man in the moon. I really don't. Because it's not about who is her husband, it's about who's her hoe. If you really want to get down and technical about it, it's not about who's the husband, it's about who's the hoe. You'll forgive me if you're a whole lot more scholarly about it than I care to be. I'm going to take a look at the fact that, by the way, I couldn't help but notice, no matter what you call them, this is the nature of your relationship. And I couldn't help but notice it. So when I see her grandsons all booed up with some very mixed chick, I couldn't help but notice it looks like the family tradition rolls on, is what it looks like. It looks like we dealing with some Longshanks strategy going on. I couldn't help but notice it. I couldn't help but notice it. And every time you turn around, got folks, dark-skinned folks cheesing. Oh, look here, I came to see about my little loyal subjects down here in Belize. Go ahead and kick it over to the Bahamas. Hey, how you doing there? See if the picture, okay, the picture from Jamaica's not on there. But you can see it on the website. I couldn't help but notice I see a pattern forming. I see a pattern forming. Shout out to Terrell Black there in the super chat. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. I'm bringing this in a stark relief for you all because I want you to understand something. Here's a reality that you cannot escape. Words mean things. Words mean things. And if I can get you, there's a reason why so many people were upset when we stopped singing the Pledge of Allegiance. When we stopped reciting the Pledge of Allegiance or singing the national anthem. That's when, why is it that so many people got so damn upset when we did that? Why? Did it ever occur to you to ask yourself, why is it that they're so upset? Is it because they're saying, oh, well, you're not being patriotic enough? No, it is because they understand we put this in place for you to accept your position in the machine as a cog. You've accepted it. They took a look at all the black folk who were lining the railway when the body of FDR was taken out on the train. They're looking to see that. They're looking to see that. They want to make sure the programming is still holding. And when you say, you know what, yeah, I'm not reciting your Pledge of Allegiance, nor will I sing this anthem. I'm not doing either one of them. They're like, wait a minute, alarms are going off everywhere. Somebody has broken the programming altogether, because you have to understand, you're not supposed to be able to define yourself outside of this. Do you understand that? You're not supposed to be able to define yourself as anything other than an artificial Briton, an artificial Anglo. You're not supposed to have an identity outside of that. Could you imagine if you all believe that this is just symbolic? If you truly believe that, then you tell me, what do you think would happen in Jamaica if the Queen showed up, or if King Charles showed up, and when they got off the plane or whatever, the folks were saying, "Hail His Majesty Marcus Mosiah Garvey"? Could you imagine 100,000 Jamaicans saying, "Hail to His Majesty Marcus Mosiah Garvey"? Now, if you think that's not going to set off every panic button, every panic alarm, if you think that every diplomat in Britain is not going to be on the damn phone in Jamaica saying, what the hell going on over there? To the Prime Minister of Jamaica, what the hell's going on over there? Sounds like you're not able to keep things in line. What's going on over there? What do you mean? His Majesty Marcus Mozart, what you talking about? Do you all think that if that occurred, that the Brits would just laugh it off and go home? You think they gonna just laugh it off and go home? They're like, oh hell no. Because they understand mentally you've had a divorce. You have mentally divorced yourself. How much worse could this get? See, that's the difference between white folk and us. They are super sensitive. The moment that anything in the plan even begins to slightly waver a little bit, if there's even a little bit of movement, they step right in. They're like, hey, there's no margin for error. They step in right in. They're not going to have a debate, not going to be a discussion. They showing up quick, fast, and in a hurry. They're not going to let this thing metastasize. So just understand, they're listening, got their ear to the ground. They want to see what folks are saying in this regard. They don't care about a few folks saying a few grimy things about the Queen. They're concerned what the people as a group do. The people as a group, you don't have to sit up here and cry, bawl, or mourn. The real question is, are you seeing this as your opportunity to break away? Do you see this as your opportunity to break away? That's what they measure. They measure rebellions and uprisings. Starting first and foremost with how you identify yourselves. You got to understand, the American Revolution, they understood that they were in trouble when the Americans started referring to themselves as Americans. Just as soon as George Washington and the boys started referring to themselves as Americans, they didn't change that name to Americans because they were bored. They were making it very, very clear to the king, we are making a mental, emotional, and spiritual divorce from you. Y'all got to understand, when George Washington did that, do you know what he was conceding? He was conceding that he would never see Europe again. That's what they were conceding. They were conceding that even as white men, if we do this, we will never see England again. We will never see Europe again. We will be completely divorced from our heritage and our culture, the Commonwealth, everything. We are gone. That part of our history and culture is dead. We will never be able to return. And yet they did it anyway. What does that tell you? He's saying, I'm no longer a Briton. I'm not a subject of the British monarchy. I'm an American now. I'm an American. My culture and my history starts right here, right now. Now, when you got somebody who says that and he means it and he's following up on it with action, you got a problem. You got a problem. Problem is super heavy. He's like, yeah, I don't need to sing no songs. I don't need to save no queens. I'm doing this over here now. I'm doing this over here. We doing this now. You stripping me of my quote-unquote European heritage, I'll pay the price. I'm doing this. I'm more committed to this over here than where I came from. I'm more committed to where I'm going than where I've been. Understand something, you got a problem when that happens. If they can get you to sit up here and chase this idea that you need to get, that your status as a citizen or a subject of the realm defines your identity, there's power in that. There's power in that. There's power in you simply saying how you identify yourself. There's power in that. When you got places like Rwanda, all these places that Sierra Leone, all these places that still got the French running things. All these places that still got the French running things. People who are still there identifying as French. In Haiti, folks still identifying as French. And in the process, the folks you're trying to identify with don't give you nothing but a hard damn time. So I'm saying to you all tonight, if you want to know how colonization really works, let me be very, very clear with y'all. Let me ask you one question. Just one.
Who delivered the gift that keeps on giving?
Actions from these people based on what you've seen. If the Queen showed up and said that we need our good subjects of our domain of Jamaica to give up whatever, whenever, however, it's time for you to show your loyalty to the crown. How many of you would be willing to bet your lives that the majority of Jamaicans would not hop to attention and hand over whatever she wants? This symbolic, ceremonial figurehead. If she showed up and said, you know what, I need you Jamaicans, we need for y'all to give up about half this land. We haven't, it's strategic. We need, the crown has always been there for Jamaica. We now need Jamaica to be there for the crown. How many of you are willing to bet your lives? Jason, Jamaica ain't gonna do that. The rank and file citizen, the average man on the street, the average of Jamaica ain't gonna go with that. Jason, you wrong. You don't understand, dude. They about that life. I'll bet my life on it, Jason. They ain't never gonna go along with nothing like that. Now, how many of you want to bet they'll be singing in the streets, God save the Queen? How many of you want to bet your lives on which one of those would happen first? They'll send Prince William or Prince Harry or whoever. They'll send them down there. They'll send them down there. You want to bet your life they can't flip them? You want to bet your life they can't convert them? You want to bet that? I don't know if you really want to. I don't know if you really want to do that. Because it seems like a good idea on the surface. I'm just not so sure you really want to try that one. I think it might turn out different than you tell yourself it will. I think it might turn out different than you tell yourself it will. If you're willing to bet your life on it, I'm just not so sure I want to go with you. Not so sure I want to go with you. Jason, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't really know what you're referring to, Jason. I don't. Are you sure? Are you certain that I don't? Are you sure of it? Are you certain that I'm the one who doesn't know what he's talking about? Are you sure I don't? Are you sure that I'm the one who don't get it? Are you sure I'm the one who doesn't understand? By the way, I couldn't help but notice Usain Bolt is the one wearing the white shirt that looks like he should be in Britain. Prince Harry is the one wearing the Jamaican track outfit. Couldn't help but notice. Couldn't help but notice. Somebody wanting to argue with me, are you sure that you sure Jamaica ain't gonna flip? You sure they can't flip Jamaica? Are you certain? You certain they can't flip Jamaica? Are you certain about that? You ready to risk your life on it? Okay. All right. Jason, you're being hyperbolic. Jason, it ain't that serious. Jason, it ain't that real. Jason, you're overstating it. Okay. Okay. They say I'm overstating it, y'all. Okay. All right. All right, fine. It ain't that real. It's not that way. Everything's fine. Everything's great. Nothing to worry about. Boy, that sounds damn familiar. Doesn't that just sound damn familiar? Whole bunch of folks don't really want to believe that. They don't really want to believe that that is what it is. They don't really want to believe it. But it's not about what you want to believe. If you think you can bet your life about what won't happen, oh, don't worry, Jason, ain't really about that life. We're okay. Everything's sweet. Everything's safe. Everything's okay. Okay. Sure. Go right ahead and believe that then. I'm just telling you right now, in Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago, all these other places here, if y'all want to know why we get some of the crazy ass responses that we keep getting from some of these folks, if you want to know why we get some of the crazy ass reactions that we get from some of these folks, there's a reason why that occurs like that. You don't really understand the people you're dealing with. You don't really understand the people that you see, and you're going to find out the hard damn way if the damn rubber hits the road. But I submit to you, it hits the road every day. Right now, there ain't nothing that they want. If they do want something, they can come get it. Remember the Clintons in Haiti. Remember the Clintons in Haiti. It's not because there ain't nothing that they want. We ain't ready to come get it yet. We just ain't ready to come get it yet. We just ain't ready to come get it yet. But if we ever do want to come get it, y'all are going to be ready to drop it off. Y'all going to be ready to drop it off. That's what we're looking for. Just so long as you ready to drop it off when we get there. That there's no resistance in you and no resistance in the culture. That you ain't had a bunch of folks sit up here and give you ideas. People, I'm telling you that the Commonwealth is the British Empire. Let me stop calling it Commonwealth. The British Empire is alive and well and growing. By their own measurements, the British Empire is alive and well and growing. And if you tell yourselves that this is just symbolic and oh, it doesn't mean what you think it means and it's not that serious, that's exactly what they want you. Oh, don't worry, it's not this serious. It's just symbolic. Go ahead and get back to dancing. If it's just symbolic, then you won't mind if I stop calling you that. If this really is symbolic and it really doesn't go any further than that, then you won't have a problem if I stop calling you Her Majesty. Then it'll be okay if I quit doing that, right? We still gonna be cool, right?
Anna.
You know damn well it will not be okay. These words mean things. These words have weight. These words have meaning. And if they're insisting that you keep saying it, they want you to say it because they want you to see yourself a certain way. And they might not want anything from you right now, but when the day comes that they do, they're coming for it. If the day comes that they do, they're coming for it. And I just consider it to be very, very interesting that even in places like Jamaica, you got them literally saying the Queen is the monarch of state. The Queen is the head of the state. folks, that means something when it's black folk. That means something when it's black folk. When it's black folk and folk insist on you saying that means something. So we've been trying to teach everybody else, and this is not about disrespecting anybody or anything like that, but let's be very, very clear about this. You're the Queen of Jamaica? Really? You're the Queen of Jamaica. Seriously. I find that to be a bizarre concept. However, some of you might disagree. So we're going to go ahead and take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, we're going to have your phone calls here. So you will be able to go ahead and weigh in and join us on the Blackest Radio program in existence. We're talking tonight about queens and colonies and exactly how that works. And I think it's been a good explanation of that here so far, but we're going to open up the telephone line. Some of you might disagree. So for some of you who are in Jamaica, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, you'll have an opportunity to go ahead and call us up. You'll have an opportunity to go ahead and call us up and let us know what we're wrong about. Go ahead and call me up. Hey, Jason, it's completely harmless. It is completely harmless. Why, there's no problem. It's just ceremonial. I have no problem calling her the Queen of Jamaica, the Queen of Barbados. Jason, you're too damn stiff. It's completely harmless. Well, you'll have your opportunity to go ahead and call us about that. Before we do, I want to thank everyone, and I do mean everybody who has contributed to support tonight's program here on PayPal or Cash App. So, Miss Brenda Starr, as always, Miss Chatters, Mark B, Andrew L, B1 Media is a lifesaver. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, we will take your phone calls. This is the Black Channel. I'm your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening, and the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the Blackest Radio program in existence, the only one of its kind on planet Earth today. And as always, you are welcome to join us. Big shout out here. Thank you very much to Najee, Mr. Newman, and everybody else who's contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal or Cash App. And I want you all to go ahead. There's been some folk in the chat room here. Now, I don't know if we got tether babble going on. I don't know if we got anchor baby babble happening. But the bottom line is, if we got British subject babble, Commonwealth coonery, I don't know what's happening there. Are we dealing with Commonwealth coonery? Some of y'all are sitting up here making little comments and whatnot. So Nathan J and some of these other folk here, that's what we got a phone number for. So if you're going to say things, you need to go ahead and stand by that. You need to go ahead and stand by that. Shout out Niggas Chance. Let's go ahead and open up the phone lines here. The phone lines are now open here. So if you got something to say, that's what you need to go ahead and call in so folks can hear it. If we got some Commonwealth coonery or British anchor baby babble, some of y'all are feeling some kind of way, you're calling, go ahead. See, I know you got rolling brownouts and things, but see if you can find a moment in between the brownouts to go ahead and give us a call. If you can be in the chat room, you can say something. The telephone number is on your screen here tonight. And nobody's being disrespectful of the dead or anything like that. I'm asking some serious questions that need to be asked. Let me go ahead and get caller from area code 910. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yes, Marcus from Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Marcus from Fayetteville. What's on your mind?
Yeah, great points again. I don't understand how we can even, I'm just looking at the totality of it, black people worldwide. How can you build a world coalition with any of these countries, these Caribbean countries or these continent countries, when they embrace, the monarchy and I guess you say symbolism, but it's only symbolism when they don't need something, or when they need something, it's not symbolism. So how can you build a coalition like a worldwide coalition like that? And we're not looking to do that. I'm not. I'm B1 all the way, because I understand the game. But then they come at us and want to know why we don't want to build a coalition. And you act like this. You got Hussein Bolt, looking like a darn plantation slave, being made fun by his master or whatever. It's sickening. And so that woman was awful. You know, she was an awful lady, awful monarchy. And they had the largest diamond. They'd never even returned back to Africa. It was in her crown. So, you know, I mean, so it's a sick situation. And Jamaica's just completely embarrassed, and the whole Caribbean is embarrassed, including the continent. I have no confidence in either. B1.
B1, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 718. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is Gavin calling out of Los Angeles.
Gavin out of LA. What's on your mind?
Yeah, one thing that always kind of piqued my curiosity is two things. One, the Queen's birthday in many of those countries was also a national bank holiday and the schools were closed. Two, there's a thing called the Privy Council, which is based in London, which is the final court of appeals for any kind of judgment handed down in those countries whereby somebody's on death row. The final court of appeals will be right there in the city of London, called the Privy Council. That's all I got to say.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Yeah, I mean, they got their little institutions and things set up. It's not just ceremonial, folks. If it's ceremonial, it wouldn't have beachheads and objects in the real world. Caller from area code 912. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Jason, thank you for taking my call. I'm Black Tree Roots out of Brunswick, Georgia. What I would like for you to do, Jason, is related to us in America and Biden going into Trump's house in Mar-a-Lago and taking out his belongings, just right here in the United States. And so that's what I would like for you to do also, is to show how the relationship in Jamaica and the monarchy is the same in many ways here in the United States. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. Caller from area code 929. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening, Jason. This is Daryl from Chicago.
Daryl from Chicago. What's on your mind?
Jason, excellent broadcast and bringing out all the points about the situation of symbolism. And this is just another thing to alert people and let them know what time it really is with situations. You've been saying this for a while, and apparently people don't realize until they get run over by the tire. But this situation is really opening up a lot of eyes. Should have been opened up a long time ago. And you're right about people stepping up to the plate and not identifying with that. And that's a huge thing. You got more power when you do that. People don't realize that. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for putting it on. Thank you for this broadcast tonight and a whole lot of others. Be one.
Black First, brother, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Not sure what German O means by strong, black, and brown, but okay. Let me get caller from area code 512. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Greg. I'm calling from Texas.
Greg, from where at in Texas?
Austin, Texas.
Greg from Austin, what's on your mind?
I'm originally from Trinidad. Everyone down in the Caribbean do not worship Queen Elizabeth and the monarch. Okay? This FBA, DOS, thing that, people like yourself and Tariq speak about gives people the wrong idea. There's a lot of woke people today. The people are waking up.
Okay,
Not
is she referred to as Your Majesty in Trinidad and Tobago?
Hell no.
Sir?
Oh, no.
Is she referred to as Your Majesty by your heads of state there? When she shows up, do they refer to her? Sir, do they refer to her as Your Majesty?
I left my country when I was 10 years old.
Oh, you already fled.
I grew up here. Yeah, but I know that a lot of my people and stuff is not going to be grieving over her. If anything, they'll be celebrating that the bitch is burning in hell. Okay, we had slavery down there too. You understand?
You couldn't tell by looking. So maybe you picked it up from us, but you couldn't tell that's not the prevailing attitude of people there. You couldn't tell by looking.
Yeah, well, the thing is, there's one thing else you have to understand. In the Caribbean and in Africa, when you're growing up and you're seeing everyone as black, you suffer the delusion that you're not living under a white supremacist system, right? Like a lot of black people, they don't understand that. You have a false sense of being free.
Okay,
this
but
whole
by
world
your
is under a white
but by
supremacist
your
system.
okay, but by we have majority black cities in America, and none of us are under any illusions. By your own admission, with slavery affecting Trinidad and Tobago, they've had a similar experience, and yet they've come out of it with a far different attitude. Why is that?
That's because we have a false sense of sovereignty and independence, and difference in cultures, which is, I think, is trivial. It's superficial at best. Okay? The differences in culture is superficial at best. When you live under a system of white supremacy, which start out in Europe, especially under this monarch, under the British Kingdom, right, where they colonize like most of the world, like 75% of the world population, where they steal, rape, pillage, plunder, enslave, these people are monsters. And there are still people today, they're going to be crying over this demonic, evil, white supremacist terrorist died. She died and made the bitch burn in hell. I have no sympathy for her ass at all. It's a tragedy that there are people out there still going to be supporting, especially, whether they're from the Caribbean. Like, what's happening in Jamaica is absolutely insane. I didn't expect that. That's not something I expected. But unfortunately, fortunately, there are Jamaicans down there who's probably hitting the ceiling over this. They're going to be pissed off about that.
They're
And,
They're not,
President-
sir. They've been on the news. I've seen them. I've been watching that. They are passive about it at most. So the sentiments,
I've
taken a look.
You've probably not seen
I've
the
taken a
groups
look.
that I've seen.
I've taken a look.
I've seen groups that...
Sir, you literally could not have this occurring and they still be members of the Commonwealth. You do understand that's something you have to renew, right?
Yeah, they're cool.
Were you aware that Commonwealth membership is something that must be renewed?
No.
Okay, because you can leave the Commonwealth at any time. So anybody who's a part of the Commonwealth, that's actually something that they renew, basically.
I don't think Trinidad is part of the Commonwealth, and I believe Barbados just left that. Decided to remove the Queen as head of state. That just happened this year or last year.
Okay, I hadn't heard that. The information that I have right now still includes them. So the information I have still includes that. They may not be realm territories, but here's the real thing. The Commonwealth is an amalgamation of nations that their core credo is to align themselves with the British Empire. And Trinidad, Tobago, Barbados, Bahamas, Jamaica, all these folks over there, if we want to know why it is that their attitudes are so acquiescent where white supremacy is concerned, I would submit to you that it's not because of an attitude about a false sense of sovereignty, but an attitude of a pride in subjugation.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller Miracode 229. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening. My name is Rod. I'm calling from Valdosta, Georgia.
Ron from Valdosta. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I just want to let you know that as foundational Black Americans, we are not being disrespectful of a dead woman. But we do call out these off-cold countries, especially the head of states. Yeah, you might have a handful of people in these places that is on code, but when your head of state is off code like that, yeah, we consider your country is off code like that.
And that's a very good point to make right there, because one time is a mistake. 60, 70 damn years is not a fluke. That's not a mistake. At that point, we have to understand that as black people, particularly foundational, we don't have the same attitude they have. They see themselves as subjects of the British Empire. Do you know how many of them they aspire to be knighted? Think about that for a few moments. As Americans, that's not really something we grew up with the idea of aspiring to. I mean, being knighted, or being a knight of the realm, not really.
Think about it. That's actually funny.
Yeah, think about that for a few moments. Like, okay, I can be a knight? You mean like Game of Thrones? You mean the sword on the two shoulders thing? Like, seriously? Like, if I make the queen happy, I can get that? I don't know if that gives me a discount. I don't know if that gives me a discount in Red Robin. I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's kind of cool, I suppose. But I'm just saying, that's not something that you and I really aspire to. So it's one thing to watch 007. It's another thing to sit up here and say, hey, if I play my cards right, I can be 007. And I submit to you, there's a lot of Jamaicans and Caribbeans and now Africans. They're like, hey, if I play my cards right, I can be 007. Like, for real, I could be 007. You and me sitting there looking like, okay, is he on crack? No, I can do it. I can make it happen. So I think our attitude about it is markedly different. We don't see that as something to aspire to. It's all right, it's cool, but we understand what it is, and we just don't see it as something to aspire to. So to a lot of them, they're looking at us like, there's something wrong with us. What's the problem? What's the big deal? I think a lot of them treat it like Christmas or Easter. Oh no, Halloween. What's wrong with letting the kids dress up as monsters? What's wrong with letting them say trick or treat? Oh, they're just having some fun. Everybody says that. What I'm saying is, do you realize what you're saying in the meantime? Do you all realize how much business these European entities do and how easily it goes when you're dealing with a population that sees itself as, quote, one of us? Think about that for a few moments. To be a member of the British Empire, I mean the British Commonwealth, what you are saying is you are one of us. That's what that means. Right. You're saying when the Queen Elizabeth shows up, I'm one of them. I am a Briton.
Generation after generation being brainwashed.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. I mean, boy, that goes a long damn way. Let me get here. I got a caller calling, international caller, country code 447. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Greetings, Jason. It's Brother Jeff from London, UK. How are you, sir?
Brother Jeff from London over there,
hey,
brother.
David.
Well, I'm sure you all have the flags at half-mast. It's been national days of mourning over there at this time, so certainly our condolences on your loss. And, hopefully we'll get through this.
As you can tell, so I'm very distraught, nuts. Yeah, Jason, what you said is so true. I'm so embarrassed that Nigeria, where my family from, we're still colonized by the British. We're still not free. We're still colonized by the British. Nigeria is a British name. Nigeria is a barrier, to black freedom. That's a fact. I'm a Nigerian background, but I tell the truth, Jason. And as a man that sees in truth and clarity, it's an embarrassment that we still hold that name given to us by a former slave master, current slave masters. We're still enslaved. Nigeria is still a plantation, you know what I mean? It's not free at all. But yeah, Jason, the Queen is dead. Long live the Queen. Nuts. Then we've got King Charles now. He talks of plants. That's going to be our king. It's surreal, Jason. It's surreal.
Well, for those of you who are not aware here, I want to make sure for everybody outside the Commonwealth who's not aware. Okay, I read a story here. I did some research on it back in 2018. What they say is that the position of monarch or the head of the Commonwealth, they say that it's not hereditary. Now, that's what they say. However, in 2018, the member nations voted that head of the Commonwealth would transfer from Queen Elizabeth to Charles upon her death. Now, this was back in 2018 that they did this, not 2022. 4 years ago, they made that decision. So what I'm saying is, it's kind of like how we're treating copyright law now. Copyright's not supposed to last forever, and yet every time it's ready to expire, they keep extending the damn thing. And then, it's not forever, it's not permanent. We just extended it a little bit. It's not permanent. No. If it's not hereditary, then how in the hell is y'all said, okay, but let's make sure her son will be the head of it before it gets done? Brother, somebody's going to sit there and see that and tell you, oh, don't worry, it's just symbolic. If it's symbolic, then why are they making it hereditary?
Exactly. I mean, Jason, the coronation starts a year from now. It's not immediate, maybe a year from now. But what gets me, Jason, is why the Caribbean, and we know what, as the caller said, we're led by coons.
Wait a minute now. Slow down. Whoa. Back up, Jeff. You said what starts a year from now?
The coronation of King Charles III.
Disagree.
That's what.
Okay, I understand what you're saying about the official coronation. Absolutely, you are correct as far as the official coronation. They're referring to him as King Charles right now. He's they are already officially referring to him as King Charles right damn, and was it his wife as a queen consort? They are referring to him as King Charles right this moment. No coronation required. Think about that for just a few moments. What you're saying is technically accurate. However, I want you all to already know they're already referring to him in Australia, in Canada. They're already calling him King Charles right now.
Oh, Jason, you're correct. You're 20%. I mean, Jason, you're correct. But what I'm saying is before that, why we, well, not we, not FBA. I mean, a simple FBA. You're a brilliant example. Generally, apart from Kuna Soldiers, of course, and Herschel Walker, but generally, you guys are on point. But Africa, the Caribbean. It's an embarrassment. In 2022, Jason, 2022, now King Charles is the head of state of our countries. It's embarrassing. Because, we've got coons in charge. We've got cowards in charge. Jason, I'm in the chat, I'm in Jughead 1. I said in the chat earlier, saying about how Africa, we're cowards and, we didn't do what America did. We didn't sever ties. Like you did, was it, in 1772, two men, Paul Revere, it was John Hancock and Bernard Franklin. In 72 decided they were fed up being taxed. 4 years later, revolution. Where's Africa's revolution? We didn't have one. That's the problem. They loosened the bonds. They didn't sever them. They loosened the bonds, and we fell for the trick bag. We didn't fight the way the Chinese or the Viet Cong did, or the way Algeria did. The Ben Bella with Algeria. We didn't do that. That's the problem. We didn't fight.
The only way you're going to get out is by hand. It can happen, but Jason, understand something. From this day forward, the only people who are going to follow in our footsteps are the ones who do what we did. That's the only ones who are going to get it done. If you ain't going to take to the street and do it like we did here and like some of y'all did over there, if you're not going to take to the streets and do it like that, it ain't going to happen. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, Jeff. Let me get a caller from area code 876. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Robert. Yeah, I call from Jamaica, Portmore.
Okay, what's your name?
I mean, I say, Robert.
Okay, Robert, and you're calling from... You're calling from Jamaica?
Yeah, Robert. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, not this of Jamaica, so I say this and bag of thing, brother, and I talk like the news and everything. We are doing a referendum and try to get ready Queen. What kind of style you style, you know? That me I try to tell them. I follow your thing, but your style of Jamaica like you speak for Jamaica, brother. And enough people at Jamaica now in the Queen thing already. Now we are talking.
All right, brother. I'm going to try to decipher what you're saying here. So, what was on your mind?
Yes, when I style Jamaica, say I be a coons in Jamaica and be a things. I mean, I tell us we have a referendum we are planning to do at the end of this year to get rid of the Queen. After Barbados thing. So we're not going to accept people to run down the Queen and run down monarchy and this and that. And that I try to tell you.
Okay. Are you in favor of the Queen as the monarch of Jamaica?
No.
Okay.
So far we are Jamaica not in favor of the Queen.
I understood that one.
You have some people, some old people from them time.
Okay.
Some older people had for them things.
Okay. I understood the no.
When involved in that style.
Okay. I had a little bit of issues with everything else, but I did understand the no. So I got that one. So he's like, no on that one. So I think we're making progress here. So I think we're heading in the right direction. Here's the issue. The average Jamaican citizen apparently is not as strident against it as Robert is.
Stop that foolish. No. You understand? No? Foolish is talking. That's TV something. That's propaganda upon TV. That's foolish is talking. Not good.
I got questions about that, Robert, and the reason why I have questions about that is because there's no shortage of Jamaican folk before now who are perfectly fine hopscotching between Jamaica and Britain and identifying in that way. So there's a lot going on there that needs to be rectified, brother.
But listen what I'm saying. You have enough people where from the old time days, from the 50s, come up and Queen them follow. But nowadays people are Jamaica don't follow them something. When I follow a Queen thing and a Britain thing, even though you have to get a visa for go to Britain. Right now. So we are talking about, I understand that all style Jamaica, say Jamaica, coons and beer things. Then there's something right, but nobody not style, you know. All style Jamaica.
Okay, well, brother, like I say, you might want to go to Twitter and get some of your folks corrected because they over there towing the company line.
Twitter Jamaica. Or is Twitter Jamaica? Twitter not Jamaica.
You're saying they're not Jamaican?
No, I'm saying that's such a small part of Jamaica. That's not real people. Real people. If you go up on Instagram and go all them places, you go check certain things. Go up on YouTube and see what people are about for Queen and so on. Most of the time, if the people are about for Queen and laugh, people laugh off of them. Straight up. I just said which.
Okay, well, I'm going to take some time to think it over, Robert. So thank you very much for giving us a call here. Boy, I hope YouTube's transcript thing can sort that out for me. I'm gonna stay off that subject for a little bit because I'm not really sure what I'd be responding to. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm a little lost. Let me get calling from area code 414. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, I'm Darian Johnson. I'm calling from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
All right, Darian from Milwaukee. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I just have a question. Like, what is the solution to this problem? Like, what do you do about the European hierarchy or anything like that? Like, what is...
Okay, you're asking what is the solution?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in order to determine what the solution needs to be, you first and foremost must identify what the problem is. So, what's the problem?
The problem, I guess they're dominating us mentally. Like they're putting like a glass ceiling on our success in a way.
Okay. Now, if that's the problem, then what is the solution to somebody doing something like that?
Gaining power of their own. Socioeconomic power, I guess.
Okay. Now, I think that's a good way to start. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight here. Let me get caller from area code 267. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, my name is Roxy, and I'm calling from Philly.
All right, Roxy from Philadelphia. What's on your mind?
Yeah, well, actually, I could decipher what that gentleman was talking about because I am a first-generation American.
Oh, good. I should have had you over here by text message. So I'm like, Roxy, what did he say? What did he say? I should have had you on text message over here. So next, I need to keep your number so you can help decipher that for me in the future.
Okay, good. So honestly, I feel like there are, I'm not going to lie, there are a lot of people, I'll speak for the Jamaicans exclusively, that, yes, they are looking at this as kind of like the proper thing to do. Of course, in every black society, there's always that division, not just of coons, but people who actually would probably consider themselves, I guess you call it coons too, but like more educated, for example. And yes, they do aspire to speak the Queen's English and to keep up customs that, yes, we have been brainwashed and conditioned as Jamaicans to follow. But as that brother was saying, the people who completely are against this, I mean, maybe some of you wouldn't even understand what they're saying because they truly cannot, not only do they have no respect, the cry and the scream for reparations is something that means a lot to them. It's something that they are, especially this younger generation, they're a lot more vocal about it. And so I'm just saying this just to say, like, unfortunately, this whole situation with this woman dying, it does bring to light a lot of, things that I think a lot of people probably didn't know about. I think a lot of Black Americans may actually be learning a lot about, exactly the extent to her domination, especially in Jamaica. But again, my biggest thing is that I don't want people to think that what you're saying is that you're trying to be offensive. I think essentially what you're doing is you're just shedding light to the brainwashing and the extent and the level to the brainwashing.
Well, here's the thing I want to go into.
Jamaican culture.
Remember, you can't fight a deal with the devil that you don't know you made. That's the first thing. You can't fight a deal with the devil that you don't even know you made. So when you have a situation like this where you made a deal with the devil, it's in their laws, their bylaws, they're teaching it in the schools and whatnot. When she shows up, she is referred to as Her Majesty the Queen. Now her son will be referred to His Majesty the King. It's all fun and games until your kids start saying that. And then this thing that never gets mentioned, never mention it just remember now, you haven't had to do a new monarch now for 70 years. Do you realize she's had whole parts of the generation that have been born and died, and she's been the only thing they've known? So you see, you haven't had to actually acknowledge and update. By the way, this little old lady who keeps coming by every once in a while, and everybody keeps bowing and scraping, what's so important about her? Oh, don't worry, that's just the Queen. She visits from England every once in a while, without any real context. By the way, what did she do? What does it mean? Why is everybody bowing like this? With people telling you we're all bowing, but it doesn't mean anything. I'll be damned. If you're bowing, it means something. And we haven't been forced or required recently to do a colonization check to see, hey, how many of you all realize what colonization looks like? In the 21st century, colonization is not shackles around your ankles. Colonization is what you identify with. Let me give you an example here. Right now, the reason why the United States feels so secure in its position, that no matter what these other countries are doing, America runs the yard far and wide when it comes to the most important commodity in the 21st century, information technology. Why is that? Because it doesn't matter whether they're in China, Africa, Europe, or whatever. All of your best and brightest are trying to come here and become Americans. So you see, those other countries, for the most part, they don't ever get a chance to rise. Their best and brightest identify with these folks over here. So your best and brightest, just as soon as they get their weight up, they're like, yeah, deuces, I'm gone. Now, China is trying to have a little police state to prevent that from occurring. That's how bad it is that China's having to implement a damn police state to prevent people from leaving. Because you have Chinese citizens who do not want to identify as Chinese. They want to identify as American, they want to identify as British, but they don't want to identify as Chinese. So something as simple as how you identify. If you all don't think that's deadly dangerous, take a look at the most valuable companies in the world and the fact that the majority of them summarily are American. It's not because America necessarily practices capitalism better than anybody else, but the culture and being able to get people to identify with us as the cool kids in class. That's a powerful thing. And when Prince Harry and the Queen and the rest of them show up, if you can get Jamaica or Barbados simply to say, man, I wish I could be like them, they're the cool kids, then you end up with a picture of Usain Bolt trotting behind Prince Harry. I wonder who's capturing the hearts and the minds of the people. It seems harmless and benign until you see Meghan Markle, and then you see all these dark-skinned Jamaican females talking about, ooh, she's so special, look at girl, get your queen on. It all seems harmless and benign until you see that.
Jason, I feel you with that, but I'm going, again, from my perspective, being first generation, I find the same problem with African American women who also was looking at Meghan Markle as some type of dream, and it was like, to me, I was just completely disgusted with it, because it's like, you can't relate to her. She doesn't want to relate to you. She doesn't even want to be black. But a lot of black women was like, oh, we got representation. Look, I'm going to marry a king one day. I'm going to be a queen, and all kind of crap that they were saying about her marrying to this murderous family. instead of them looking at the reality and putting themselves in kind of like, damn, she's married into this. But again, they're not thinking about
that all sounds great until you understand that you're disregarding one thing there. Black folk in America are not subjects of the British Commonwealth. Nor have we ever referred to them as His or Her Majesty. In Jamaica, they literally do.
I understand what you're saying.
That's the difference.
But let's look at a lot of what these African Americans did. For the most part, with this whole thing with Biden and Kamala Harris coming in.
Not a good look, Roxy. This is not going well. Not a good look. That's called. Roxy, that's called. Roxy, that's called deflection. That's called deflection. That doesn't help. It doesn't help your case, nor does it prove what you're trying to prove. Biden elections, Trump Mar-a-Lago, that has not a damn thing to do with the Queen and colonization and referring to them as His and Her Majesty in the Commonwealth. So that doesn't actually do what you think it's doing. It's just deflection. Has nothing to do with
Well,
that.
it may sound like deflection, but I would hate for an African American to miss the opportunity to learn something in this situation. Like, yes, you can shit on Jamaicans and say, look, they look how dumb they are, or whatever. Or the Jamaicans you see, because trust me,
let's not do that. Y'all are getting in your feelings. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. We're getting in our feelings. Let's not do that. No one has referred to Jamaicans as dumb. No one has referred to Jamaicans as stupid except you. So you're projecting your. You're projecting
I'm reading in the chat.
Okay,
I'm reading
Roxy,
in the chat.
Calm yourself. Calm down. No one's referring to Jamaicans as dumb or stupid. Nobody is saying that Jamaicans are dumb or stupid. However, colonized is probably a term that would apply. And while it's not, it can certainly be uncomfortable when we say it in a context like this where everybody's watching. This is an opportunity for Jamaica to follow our lead, Roxy. They can follow. They can follow our lead now, because you have to understand the reason why the conversation here among us as freemen is fundamentally different than it is in Jamaica. Is Jamaica had a prophet, Marcus Messiah Garvey, and Jamaica did not acknowledge him. Marcus Garvey, ma'am, Marcus Garvey became a national hero when?
Not after his death.
Okay, and when did that occur? After he came to us.
True. Okay.
Marcus Garvey became an icon in Jamaica after we made him an icon here. But you know what Marcus Garvey couldn't do? He couldn't get Jamaica to do during his lifetime what we did over here. And what I'm saying is the attitude, the disposition is markedly different, but it should not be surprising that Garvey couldn't get Jamaica as a nation to move in his lifetime, because he was over here. You're dealing with folks who got themselves free mentally. And in Jamaica, you were dealing with folks who still identify as subjects of the British Empire. No wonder you couldn't move them.
Jason, respectfully, my mother was born in 1943 and my father was born in 1935. And I'm just saying, as far as how I was raised as him being a national hero.
Glad to hear that. But are you indicative of the average Jamaican in that regard?
Am I? Yes, today.
No, ma'am, not today. Not today. Because here's...
The average Jamaican considers Marcus Garvey a national hero and everything he stood for.
No, individuals like yourselves who have been ingratiated with us consider that to be the case. However, if you doubt the veracity of that, ask yourselves one question here. The number one thing that Marcus Garvey advocated for was for Jamaica to control its own socioeconomic destiny. How well is Jamaica doing upholding the sole primary tenet that Marcus Garvey taught? How well are they doing with that?
I would say not well at all, because for all case and purposes, they're still under the crown. I mean, just walk. They're literally referring to themselves as a part of the Commonwealth, and there's nothing common about the wealth.
Now,
there's nothing.
That's a very good way. That's actually a very good way of putting it. There's nothing common about the wealth. Jamaica is one of the most beautiful places on the planet. It is one of the most naturally beautiful places on the planet, bar none. In my opinion, it's up there in the top 3. When you just talk about naturally beautiful places, it really, really is. And this thing about the rental dreads and all this other mess going on there, that's indicative of a problem. That's the point we're trying to make. Jamaica should be an independent. What we did in Harlem, Jamaica should have done decades ago. What we did in Harlem, what we've done in Atlanta, Jamaica should have done that decades ago. However, it's very hard to get that done when the people there are saying we're all right like we are. After all, the Queen says we're cool just as we are. You don't do anything, just let our white corporations come in, and now the Chinese ones. And don't worry, we'll take care of everything. We'll take care of all the heavy lifting. You all just sit over there and run track at the Olympics and be cool. We'll take care of the rest. So, understand something. I do not do programs like this for the purposes of denigrating anybody. That includes Britain, by the way. I'm not here to denigrate anyone. I am here to have an honest assessment of the situation. I'm here to have an honest assessment of it so that you can actually start making changes. The changes that actually need to be made, not the ones you feel comfortable with or the ones that make you feel least self-conscious. Now, these could be difficult things. They can certainly be uncomfortable. It's time to have some uncomfortable exchanges. It's time to have some awkward exchanges. There's no reason whatsoever that Jamaica should not be the Singapore of the Western Hemisphere. No reason whatsoever. None. And yet, it isn't. And when you go down to the rank and file citizen, you can talk about Marcus Garvey being a national hero, but if the people have not adopted Garveyism as their own personal code of conduct when dealing with one another, then all that talk about him being a national hero is just a slogan. Because you can't prove that the average Jamaican has adopted this as who they are. You can't prove it. Now,
but wouldn't it still be the case with Malik Shabazz? Wouldn't that be the case with him right now?
I'm not understanding what you mean by that.
Okay.
I know.
What I'm saying is this:
El Haj Malik El Shabazz. Yes, I understand. I'm just trying to figure out. I don't understand. I don't understand what you mean.
The things that he stood for. The things that he stood for. I mean, I would say most African American people probably really think inspired, like this is the principles that I want to live by. But then you see them do things. I mean, all you got to do is throw some money at them, and all of a sudden they ready to compromise.
Okay, well, first of all, folks are not really throwing money at them like that, but what I will tell you is that when you see systematic injustice, we have a reparations movement in America. Jamaica is a much smaller place. You should be able to get a reparations movement there going a lot quicker and a lot more fluidly, and yet it's not. So what I would suggest to you is that if you want to talk about the mindset of these things, it doesn't just stop at Malcolm X. It goes Malcolm X, Dr. King, Huey Newton. You have a mindset that says that we are separate and apart. We are citizens of the U.S., technically speaking. But as far as our mentality is concerned, when you talk to most black folk, they will, not even most, there's a reason why the Colin Kaepernick thing and the George Floyd situation caught on nationally so quickly. It wasn't because Colin Kaepernick converted a bunch of us. We were already on code. It wasn't that the killing of George Floyd converted a bunch of us. We were already on code. That was just the match that lit the fuse. or should I say diffuse this off the powder keg, we were already on code for it. The difference is we're 14% of the population. So it's kind of hard to throw that kind of economic leverage around when you're 13% of the population. So we've had to adjust by other means. What I'm saying, though, is that if you want to know why it is that Garveyism as a daily activity is so hard to sell in Jamaica, I suggest and submit to you that the root of it could be because you're dealing in a situation where when you're telling the kids, even if you tell them that once, even if you say that, once you've done that, you have indoctrinated them. And I think it's very easy then to see why it would be that they would hand over or outsource innovation for themselves. I think it'd be very easy to see how that kind of thing could occur. Let me be very clear. I'm not here to denigrate anybody. Jamaica, Nigeria, Botswana, whatever. I'm not here to denigrate anybody. I'm here to call attention to the fact that there's a problem. And I think part of that problem is how you identify. You might be telling... I'll end this by saying this. They were talking about Karl Rove on Frontline 20 years ago or so, almost 20 years ago. And one of the things they did in Texas is get people to think like Democrats, but vote like Republicans. I submit to you that in Jamaica, you have individuals who think like Jamaicans, but respond to colonization like Britons. Now, is that everybody to a man? Is it a numerical absolute? Well, no, nothing's absolute except death. But as a nation, as a group,
I feel you.
They identify as Jamaican and they can recognize Garvey. Here's the real thing. Let me tell you how diabolical colonization is. Colonization is diabolical to the point that you can recognize who Marcus Garvey is without actually utilizing him to change the society. Because let me tell you right now, if Garvey were still alive, is there any place in Jamaica where you would refer to Elizabeth as Her Majesty or her son as His Majesty? If Garveyism is really alive, is there any place you could do that?
I feel you.
So I definitely want that spirit to grow in that regard, and I'm doing this tonight as a colonization checkup to see who recognizes it and who sees it. I want to know who sees it and who recognizes it, because if you see it and recognize it, then you start understanding it's like, maybe we need to tighten up a little bit here. Maybe we do need to tighten up a little bit and recognize that maybe some of these things we thought were innocuous, maybe they're actually not as much as we thought it was. Maybe it's not as much as we thought it was. And maybe it's time for a movement to start where it's like, yeah, these vestiges of colonization, we need to start dealing with that. Those of you in Jamaica and outside of it, in the diaspora, maybe we need to start talking about that right now. Start talking to your kinfolk. You might want to have a conversation with them about, by the way, are we part of the British Commonwealth? That's a basic question to ask because it seems deceptive, but it actually isn't. Start asking some of your people, are we members of the Commonwealth? Now, to somebody who has mentally and spiritually divorced themselves from it, they will tell you, I'm not. No, I'm not. For everybody else, they're going to answer with the anatomically correct answer from their civics books. Well, yes, we are. And then they're going to go into a big explanation about why it's this and historical and ceremonial and symbolic and this, that, and the other. But to somebody who's divorced themselves from it, the answer will come back different. So I think this is a good opportunity for Jamaican or people of Jamaican descent like yourself to have a colonization checkup. I think you're going to find that the numbers are bigger than you'd like for them to be, but this is an opportunity. Don't see it as a negative or a liability. See this as an opportunity. Take this as a chance to start a dialogue and a conversation. So you can start saying, hey, I'm looking here on Twitter, and when it comes to the Queen, I'm noticing a lot of Jamaican flags. I'm seeing a lot of Jamaican flags. Hey, we need to have a chin check about this. We need to have a chin check about this. And as a person in your position, you are eminently qualified and definitely invested in it to do that. Do you think that's a good idea?
Definitely.
Then I'd like for you to join us. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. I can understand, like I say, these things can feel touchy. It's like they beating up on us. No, we're having a colonization check because we got to make sure everybody's house is in order in that regard. Starting with the idea of how you respond to that. It's one thing to see Prince Harry as a tabloid story. It's another thing to see him as your majesty. Big difference. Call from area code 310. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from area code 310 has been abducted. Caller from area code 323. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, hi, Jason. I'm Felicia. I'm calling from Los Angeles, here in California.
Felicia from LA. What's on your mind?
I wanted to comment on everything you said, but also it's starting with the children. I had a very interesting conversation with my daughter. She's in 6th grade. She told me one of her classmates said that she was British, but she didn't have a British accent. Now, I believe they are from Africa, from Nigeria, but she claims that she is British. And so it's starting with the children. And I thought that was so fascinating because my daughter, we have taught her because she has been kind of excluded, ostracized because a lot of other groups and cultures are very clannish. So we've had to work really hard, my husband and I, with getting her to understand you're beautiful, you're black, and you're black first and always will be, and you come from a great lineage. And so she has that confidence. But the kids at the school who are from other countries and everything, they're identifying themselves as British. But you're here in Los Angeles in the hood going to school.
I mean, that's the point I was making to Roxy and some of these other people here is that when we're dealing with a lot of these folks who come from outside of the country and they've immigrated in from other places, it's a hard pill to swallow, and it's tough to have to hear that, hey, your people ain't on code. Roxy's wrestling with that. It's like but you got to get down to the facts and deal with the reality and the brass tacks. Your folks ain't on code. Your people are not on code. There was a reason why when I started off the program here tonight, I started off with Commonwealth.org, talking about what the Commonwealth consists of. 56 independent countries, 32 of the 42 small states are Commonwealth members. 2.5 billion citizens live in Commonwealth countries. 60% age 29 or under. Now, think about that for just a few moments. Think about that part for just a few moments. With everybody talking about, the numbers, white people's numbers globally are leveling out or decreasing. Then you go to the Commonwealth's page and they're like, we're not worried about that. There's 2.5 billion people who live in a Commonwealth country. They don't care about, I've told you all for over a decade now, they don't care about being a numerical minority so long as they remain the socioeconomic majority. And I can't think of anything that confirms your socioeconomic majority status like having people who are not white refer to you as Her Majesty. Now, they're darker than you and they outnumber you, but they're referring to you as Your Highness. Not the Queen of England, but the Queen of Barbados, the Queen of Jamaica, the Queen of New Guinea. They're referring to you as the Queen of where they are. I can't think of a better representation of you being the socioeconomic majority.
And also another interesting thing was my daughter it's funny because these different children, because some of them are biracial and things of that nature, and so they can claim their culture. Oh, I'm half Puerto Rican. Oh, I'm half this, everything but black American. And so when they ask my daughter, oh, and what are you? She says, oh, I'm a black American. Oh, that's racist. and it's amazing the mindset it's coming from these kids. Why is it racist that she's identifying who she is, but yet it's not racist for you guys to claim your culture and your lineage? So, it's really been a journey with our daughter with just trying to just explain to her this is what's transcending, this is what's happening, especially in LA, since many of them outnumber us. There's a superiority. I mean, it's incredible. It's a superiority over that my daughter is experiencing literally from kids that are in 4th grade. She's in 6th grade. So 4th grade, 3rd grade, it's the superiority of that you're not anything, but we're so much better. And I'm just like, my goodness. So it does start young. I was telling my husband, see, this is all starting young. This is what she's experiencing, and this is just elementary school.
That's
so
why
I just
did
wanted
the
to
program the
comment.
way
Thank
I
you
did.
for taking my call.
Thank you very much for checking in with us tonight. And that's exactly the point I wanted to make, is that you cannot take it for granted that this is benign, that your children heard. By the way, Queen Elizabeth is the head of state. We're a constitutional monarchy. In America, it's a democratic republic, but in Jamaica, it's a constitutional monarchy. And Queen Elizabeth is the head of state. But don't worry. I mean, it's just symbolic and ceremonial until it isn't. Because mentally and emotionally, you have accepted and adopted yourself as a British subject, and that is colonization. Folks are looking for forts and military bases, and I'm like, hey, your kids are telling you, your kids are calling this woman Her Majesty. You've already been colonized. Caller from area code 779, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from 779 has been abducted. Caller from area code 773, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, my name is Bobby. I'm calling from Chicago.
Okay, Fozzie from Chicago. What's on your mind?
Yes, I had read an article a long time ago about that evil family, that the Prince William, he wanted Africa to sterilize their people, saying we are causing overpopulation. And that's a problem because we are basically ruining the world. That's basically what I got from it. And also I noticed that Queen's favorite son is that pedophile son. And I'm going to land my plane right there.
Well, you know, the only time they don't want sterilization of black people is when you come in as their labor class. So as long as you're coming in as their labor class, you don't have to sterilize your numbers. If it looks like you're going to establish anything independent on your own, now we need to control your numbers. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller area code 267. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, yes, this is Tammy from Williamsport, PA. How are you? Great show. I just wanted to say that you're absolutely right.
It's a broadcast, Timmy.
I'm sorry, broadcast. I'm sorry.
10 seconds,
you're very
Timmy.
right. Yep. Okay, so you're absolutely right about everything. A lot of immigrant class are very defeated, and they don't want to admit to it. I guess it's a pride thing. You know, I do notice when I go on the internet, a lot of immigrants are, you know, and I'm not saying that you should be cruel that the woman died, but I feel like she has nothing to do. If you look at the history, she was a part of several genocides in black and other Asian countries, and nobody should be acknowledging her at all, period. But it will be hard for a lot of immigrant class, particularly Nigerians and Jamaicans, to admit to this because of their pride. So you're absolutely right, Jason Black, and keep on, you know, pushing. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 443. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, this is Al. I'm calling from PA.
Okay, Al, from where at?
Harrisburg, outside of Pittsburgh.
Okay, Al from Harrisburg. What's on your mind?
I'm in complete support of Professor. I can't pronounce her name. I don't butcher it. Anya, Yuzu Anya, and that tweet she made about the Queen. I'm in complete support for it. I think the Queen was apathetic to the people in South Africa and most colonized nations.
Well, I think most people could agree. I think there are a lot of folk who may have agreed with her tweet about the Queen. They may have agreed with that. How about some of her other tweets?
Well, she like her father, voted to uphold the apartheid in South Africa. And the only reason that they make excuse that during the later years.
Let me back up here, brother. The female professor you're referring to, yes, she did make a tweet about Queen Elizabeth. If we're talking about the same one, what about her other tweets?
Yeah. Well, her other tweets was just they were right on the money from my perspective. I believe that
the tweets about her calling us the tweets about her calling us Akadas.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
The tweets about her calling us Akadas.
I didn't get that part. I didn't read that tweet, but I know most of the tweets that she said about
you
her
might want to
being dead.
You might want to do a little more research, brother, before you start tooting her horn. You might want to Google a little bit more.
What did you just say? What did you say again?
Brother, you might do a little bit more Googling about that professor and some of her other.
No, I mean about
tweets.
her statements about Queen Elizabeth. What was the actual tweet? 'Cause I didn't see any other tweets besides her condemning her.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight, y'all. He's late. He's slow. Yeah, brother. Everybody else, look in the chat room, dude. You're late. Caller from area code 706. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, Professor Black. Jason. How you doing? It's Enoch from Augusta, Georgia. Sorry about that, sir. Sorry. I miss hype. I'm sorry.
What's on your mind, Enoch?
What's on my mind, Brother Jason, is that number one, I don't have any care about this queen at all, nor her family. You know why? Because they committed genocide against Igbos in Nigeria when we were trying to get Biafra, which is we're still trying to get Biafra to this day. And that family has done nothing but try to hinder our goals and our dreams that we have our own independent nation. So that's all I have to say about it. And I wish everybody in the radio broadcast.
And that's a very good thing here, because let me be very, very clear. I'm not one of these people who goes around spitting on the dead. I don't do that. I don't go around mocking the dead. I don't do things like that. I don't like it when I hear things like that. Except in the cases of the truly most reprehensible. I don't go around doing things like that. Where Queen Elizabeth is concerned, I mean, she's never commanded a standing army or anything like that. But I don't deny what she represents. You cannot hold her up as a representative of the royal family and the British monarchy and not also put it into stark relief exactly what they did with that. As the queen, she could definitely speak against those kind of things, but she didn't do that either. Didn't do anything about that. So at the very least, if she wanted, her daughter-in-law Diana did more speaking out than she ever did. At least you could respect Diana a little bit more, because at least Diana spoke out till they offed her. But and that's the way that tends to go. So what I'm saying here is, I want everybody to be very, very clear. I'm not one of these people who sits up here and tries to disrespect people. I'm not one of these people here, somebody dies and let me just say the most heinous thing I can to get attention. That's corny. That's ridiculous. That's really, really sleazy. I don't agree with that kind of thing. But I'm not. Okay, slow down.
Not at all, sir.
Enoch,
not at all.
Enoch, brake pedal, Enoch, brake pedal. I'm not one of those people who does that. I'm speaking about myself. You're trying to interject yourself. Calm down. I'm not one of those people who does that. And that's not something I approve of. I have some decorum. However, the reason I am speaking about this tonight is I want to make it clear from my position on this, is that when you're talking about colonization and the people who had the power to either stop it or at the very least, they had the power to speak against it. They had the power to make a definitive statement. It's going to be very, very hard to push through AFRICOM when you got Queen Elizabeth saying something. It's going to be very, very hard to deny reparations in Jamaica when you got the Queen speaking in favor of it. It's going to be very hard to deny those things under those circumstances. And if she chose to sit quietly as a figurehead and a symbol, if she chose to sit quietly, her grandson is willing to walk away and leave it all, but she wasn't. I have to be honest about what occurred. I have to be. I have to be brutally frank about what I observed. And I don't think it's too soon for that. I want to put all of it in its proper context. I'm not here to disrespect nobody or be heinous. So anybody who wants to say that, they can go sit down somewhere. I'm not one of those folks who does that. But I do think that if we're going to discuss colonization and what it means there, she's going to be remembered for that also. I'll let you have the last word.
Thank you, sir. You're absolutely right. And I'm happy you brought this up, Jason, because hopefully this broadcast could definitely bring an enlightenment to our people for the, as far as Caribbean and African continent, definitely to get away from this colonization mindset. Because the point is that, unfortunately, the royal family has been responsible for a lot of the heinous, brutal things that have occurred within the Caribbean as well as the African continent. And that's all I have to say on that note.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight.
All right. Now you hear one of my lecturer and teacher. Yes. There's a reason why I play this program, And this program, with all respect, Jason, a long time you want to ram this down my people, them throat. Because them claims say them bright, and them claims say them are scholars. So now, we know I run this. So Jason, please, I'm asking you. Yeah. And the powers that be. Watch the ride now with how this are going to lick now. Because my station is the people's station. 3/4 of my program, people, listeners, would have never hear this if them never dip. Yes, sir. Because we're tired to listen to intellectual fool, we're tired. They hear some boy where I swap lies and swap conversation. So now, me want some Rasta man come tell we now how them stand in a this. Because in a this, the line draw clearly. Them never know say the line the draw from when. Here in the Americas. Because them things there was one sweet out of many, one America. See? So when them hear say all a boy like me did go America and join the liberation struggle, left yard go join it up. This is where me did join. America the only place me know say me black and proud. Yeah, when me walk in a Brooklyn, when me walk up in a Harlem, me know my people see me and know me. Not no problem walking in Harlem. Yeah. So Jason, give thanks for making this possible for me to share these things with my people so them can see where me I come from with the us and them. And realize now say me not isolated in my thinking. So until such time, because I never hear enough more out of me from Jackson, Stay tuned for the next program where I'm going to run. Because the next program where I'm going to run, I got lick on the chip even further. Bless up until then.